Thank you so much for taking the time to share your insights with us. A few words about AccelerAction. So AccelerAction is a 30 months project funded by the European Commission and having the mission to connect acceleration ecosystems across Europe with the hope to overcome the local challenges and gaps. So providing in particular startups, but also more generally all the organizations supporting them opportunities to overcome these local limitations in terms of access to resources, funding, markets, expertise, by connecting with peers across the Europe. The current roundtable is the fourth one, and the last one. Of course, other activities will continue after this. We've had 3 sessions focused on geographical areas across Europe. So Southern Europe, Central, and then Northern and the Baltics. And the idea today was based on the finding, on the insights that were collected through the previous roundtables to work in particular with some pan-European initiatives you are involved in, that you represent, our speakers today, but also some of the participants, and to see how the resources that are being developed in the scope of the project and that will be presented a little bit later by my colleagues can be useful to supporting you in this, let's say, in this objective of collaborating with peers and together serving in a better way the European innovation ecosystems and in particular the deep tech startups. That being said, I would like to give the floor to our speakers for a short presentation. Livia, you have the honor to present the European Business Network first. Please, the floor is yours. You should be able to share your screen if you want to share a presentation.
No presentation from my side. We agreed that better without presentation to avoid changing screens. So yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. As Paul was mentioning, I represent EBN, which is the European Business and Innovation Center Network. An organization established back in 1984, so almost 40 years old, that is gathering incubators, accelerators, research centers, and in general business support organizations that use innovation as a lever for sustainable economic development at a regional level. Indeed, the organization was an initiative of the DG region of the European Commission, and then we became an independent organization that has the unique UBIC label, which is a grant through which we certify the quality of business support services that our members offer to startups and small and medium enterprises. I was mentioning the regional business, regional economic sustainable development, which is one, of our missions, together with the access to finance, to the scaling through internationalization, and to the quality business support. EBN is offering its members a set of services from the facilitation of networking activities, and mainly the best practices exchange, meaning that we identify best practices implemented in a specific regional context and support members to analyze how and if these best practices can be adopted in a different context. In addition to this, we are in the framework of a EU-funded project. We are active in both EU-funded projects and technical assistances kind of project where we act as ecosystem orchestrators, meaning that we go on those territories where there is still a need to fill in innovation gaps. And we support both business support organizations and companies in this frame. And I want to mention that together with other colleagues, we also are running a project under the European ecosystem framework, which is called Accelero, While you are more active on the company's side, we are more active on the business support organization side, and we selected champions in strong innovator regions and actors in less developed region that are benefiting of trainings and activities that will help them to fill in the gap. And some of these organizations will become certified members of this network, of our network, meaning that we will grant them with the UBIC label, which represents really the added value for them to demonstrate and show that they are part of a network that deliver with quality. Maybe I stop here, otherwise I take too much of time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Livia. Indeed, I was not aware of your involvement in Accelero, but we've discussed previously with Jana and also in another framework with the colleagues at Jura AG. So this I think there will be strong synergies with that respect, because our program also has a similar mission on the second half of the program. In addition to the direct support that we are trying to offer for pilot purposes, let's say to a pool of 10 startups, the idea is to commit other stakeholders, other support organizations, basically learn together in the process and see how together we can better help these companies.
Yeah, so, there is indeed a synergy. Maybe we can combine the business support organizations with the startups you are working with to see how they can support each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will give more details as well as my colleagues a little bit later about this approach. So thank you so much, Livia. Jan, can you please present the European Startup Network and in particular your involvement in one of the landmark initiatives that emerged in the scope of the new European Innovation Agenda and that you are leading, so the Coalition of the Willing?
Yes, certainly, Paul. Thank you. So indeed, I represent here the European Startup Network, which is an NGO based in Brussels. So going back in history, so like more or less 15 years ago, you had the emergence of all these national startup associations, which was, of course, a good thing. But then I think 10 years ago, we all hit a limitation that if we wanted to influence Brussels, they are not interested in talking to 27 different organizations or even more. And so the European Startup Network was born to have this unified voice of startup associations. So currently we are 38 members across all of the EU and associated countries. And basically we do three things. So we try to influence policy. We are exchanging best practices between our members, because things that have been resolved in Denmark may also maybe be helpful in Bulgaria, for example. And we participate to pilot projects where also we, just like Livia, are acting as a ecosystem orchestrator, but then specifically for the startup ecosystems. I think our USP is that we are independent in the sense that we are not receiving money from American tech, so that makes us quite unique compared to others, and also the fact that we are bottom up, so we grow from grassroots, and that means that we are often the preferred contact for the European Commission or for European Commission services when they want to know what is needed for startups to grow in our continent. And in 2020, 2021, this role got accelerated because we contributed heavily to the European Innovation Agenda, where we had really a very in-depth consultation between our members and a lot of interactions with the services of the Commission and with the Commission itself, and where we had 4 priorities. So we wanted to have definitions and data, we wanted to work on talent, ecosystems, and policy advising to member states. And so when the NEA was published, in fact, less than 24 hours after that, we had a meeting with the Commissioner at our premises, where we had the start of the Coalition of the Willing, which was startup ecosystems at that time, female founders, women in VCs, and unicorns. And since then, so we we try to co-implement this new European innovation agenda with various stakeholders that now also include public authorities and universities. So this was, I hope, my presentation in a nutshell, Paul.
Thank you so much, Jan. Maybe following the presentation of the challenges that we have identified, we can highlight some of the actions. Of course, on the side of the Coalition of the Willing, there are some highlights, but the idea is to know how the participants to the DeepTech Talks and more generally the communities they represent can actively get involved in the Coalition of the Willing, because we've seen a lot of interesting actions taking place that could benefit all of us, I think.
Yeah, certainly, yes. So let's discuss later. But in summary, the answer will be contact me, and we'll get in touch on this. The idea of the Coalition of Willing, by the way, is not to be a formal, superstructured organization, but also there to be bottom up, highlighting existing initiatives and connecting them and making them.
Thank you, Jan. To continue on the investment side, maybe, and the direct link with the startups and business angels, Dominik, I give you the floor to present COBIN Angels.
Sure. Thank you, Paul, for the invitation.
Thank you
Good morning,
much,
everyone. My name is Dominik. I'm representing the COBIN Angels, which is the biggest angel club in Poland right now. We actually have more than 70 investors right now active, plus around 200 investors that are cooperating with us and investing with us. So far, we've done around 50 investments in the startups across all the sectors, because our investors comes from all the sectors, so we are agnostic to the sectors. We also own another club which is focused on the impact investing, which of course, we are presenting there only the startups from the impact area. Apart from the investment area, we are also deeply involved in education and in general sharing the knowledge across the investors and also the startups. So we are organizing events or the gala for the investors. We are also publishing a report about the Polish market, angel market. Moreover, we are also involved in some European Commission programs. We are running together with 3 other networks from Europe for Angels program, which is focusing on the education, sharing knowledge, networking, and in general cross-border investments. So the program aim is to increase the cross-border investments, and we are right now in the, let's say, half of the program. We are also starting another program together with AT Health, which is focused on the similar, let's say, purposes, but in terms of the healthcare industry. Thank you. You are muted, Paul, so I see you talking about.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you so much, Dominik. I was saying that maybe you could say a few words about your investment, your involvement in collaboration with the European Business Angel Network that extends what you're doing at the pan-European level.
You mean with the other angel networks, or?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So in general, as I mentioned, we are cooperating with the in terms of the 4 angel programs. So we are cooperating with 3 networks from Finland, Estonia, and Slovenia. So in those terms, we are together. We are building a guidebook for all these markets, and we are educating angels from all those markets. In general, we also are members of the IBAN, so we are participating in that. And of course, we are cooperating with other networks in terms of exchanging the deal flow.
Thank you so much, Dominik. We will mention a little bit later some of the challenges that were highlighted at this level in Poland and at the European level as well. Speaking about that, I see that we have Kinga with us as well. Hello, Kinga, and thank you for being here. Maybe I will give you the floor now. This way you can present briefly the European Women in VC and more generally your involvement in establishing, let's say, gender balance in the investment and on the startup support side.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Very happy to be here. So European Women in VC is a concept that we started as a few female investors some years ago when we realized that there is a link between who invests and what they invest in. There's been numerous studies done on that, and it seems that there is a lot of this. There's a word called investor homophily, which basically means that you invest in what you know best and what you understand. And that has delivered a big disparity in Europe, but actually also worldwide. And every study shows that only 2% of ultimate financing goes to female CEOs, female-led startups. And around 10-11% goes to mixed teams. Everything else goes to male-only teams. And that has a profound effect on what the products and what the solutions that are financed become. Because everyone in venture knows that the company you back with a lot of capital has simply more chance of succeeding. So with this disparity, we have this issue that the problems that are tackled by those female founders and mixed teams are not being financed. And you know, there's another way of looking at it, is that founders generate companies, they create companies, they establish companies to solve the issues that they see most. So just to give an example of that, if you are a woman who has gone through breast cancer surgery, you are likely to set up a company that will diagnose breast cancer. But if you're a man who has never had that experience, you are just simply less likely to look at it. And so I'm giving you an acute example of this, but just to show the point that every investor can invest in an app that will park your car and find you a parking spot, but not every investor will invest in a company that will solve the issue of breast cancer. So what I'm saying is that for a founder to fund that company and then for an investor to invest in it, we need to have that level of understanding. So this is where European Women in VC originated from. We need to cover more of these angles, more of these products and solutions at the market level to get the financing they need to be able to grow into those unicorns, decacorns, or even dragons, as they call them, the smaller companies. That is the path. And to do that, we believe that the way the market works is that the ultimate capital allocators are the decision makers, that then the money cascades down with a certain logic, with a certain strategy, in a certain framework. So we are very keen to be discussing these topics with the stakeholders at the top, be it policymakers or private individuals. On the policymaker side, obviously, with women being 50% of taxpayers, more attention needs to come to how that money flows down and how the female-led and co-led funds get the ability to raise capital, and then how does that go to the female founders at the bottom. On the private capital side, what we did this year is we did a research report showing that actually mixed teams outperform also on a financial level. So what we're saying is, you know, we want to encourage the market to give more focus to mixed teams at every level of the investment landscape, to be able to have fair, equal access to capital, again, at all of these financing levels. And to do that, we need to have a collaborative effort. So today is a great example of that. So there are certain colleagues that I have worked together with, European Women in VC has been working together with. We're also members of the coalition that Jan leads. So there are certain aspects of, I find, a collaborative effort to make this a reality. And, you know, the smaller mechanisms that we have to arrive at this result is analytics, is research, is conferences, is collaborative efforts of all kinds of meetups, working together with the female-led and co-led startups, working together with others who want to fund this area, and to build awareness that it is hyper important to have a Europe that we all want to live in, to have a society we are happy to exist in, to grow in, to get old in. We need to be thinking about those products and services, and they need to be funded. So that's the sort of outlay. What I'm going to just paste in the chat for you now is the last piece of research that we have done, and a newsletter that we've recently launched, which you can also subscribe to. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and I'll put in my LinkedIn details in the chat as well if you want to reach out.
Thank you so much, Kinga. Indeed, this is a perfect transition to our next speaker, Andreas. I saw your recent interview, and maybe a little bit later, if you have the time, Kinga, if you can give us some insights from your latest report. Our partners in AccelerAction from female founders are also a natural partner for you. They are based in Austria. I don't know if you have already worked together, but I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce you and maybe see if synergies are possible, because they have a similar mission, maybe on the other side, on the side of the startups that they are trying to support raising funds. Andreas, the floor is yours to present the LP side, so the work of EUVC. Thank you for being being with us today.
Thank you, Paul, and hi everyone. Yes, we indeed do know Kinga and the community she's built and continues to build. It's an amazing community and important mission. So at EUVC, we started a podcast back in, I guess, December 2020. All dedicated to European venture and connecting European venture. We did so because we felt that we were lacking something that would both champion the European VCs that we have, but at the same time also really generate more content about what it is like to be investing in Europe versus in the US, which is of course where the majority of the capital and content comes from. Since then, since launching that podcast, we've grown into becoming a small community ourselves. We've done, I guess, almost 250 episodes by now, and then we've also started, as Paul said, investing into venture funds as well, meaning the LP side. And we do that by building syndicates of angels across Europe that then back these funds. And we very much believe that this is important because in the end, if you're an angel investor, you're investing as a side gig or at least not something that you're being paid for. And the majority of angels, our thesis is that the majority of angels would probably benefit from being closer to the venture ecosystem. And I think it's very apparent and very clear in the VC ecosystem that is needed. But I think that it's on the angel side that there's a bit of work to do still, because most angels prefer to do direct deals. But fact of the matter is that the average angel in Europe only does 2 deals, and then they stop investing. And I think we all know the story of angels getting a bit over their skis when they're getting started. And for that reason, what we're saying is might be wise if we started to have a more healthy, let's call it a more healthy partnership between VCs and angel investors. So that's very much the journey we're on.
Thank you so much, Andreas. I don't know if there are any questions at the moment for our speakers. If not, I will briefly present some of the key takeaways from our three previous roundtables. Maybe quickly, because we are a little bit behind the schedule. So from the 3 regional ecosystems, the main issues that emerge are, first of all, in the case of many countries from Eastern Europe in particular, but not only, the limited size of the ecosystem that creates huge challenges for them. On the one side, in terms of the access to funding, so it takes longer for the companies to raise funds. They get smaller tickets, and this is also related to the size of the investment funds themselves, that are in many cases dependent on public support at the national level or from European institutions. We had an example from our colleagues in Poland that mentioned that from the 70%, from the overall investment funds that are established with the support of the EIF, due to the crisis, a lot of them stopped their activities, and basically that they are still waiting for the support. They are still dependent on the support. This creates basically challenges and gaps between the ecosystems and for the startups within these ecosystems, which is also reflected at the overall European level with respect to, let's say, peers in the United States, but also in some Asian countries. At the same time, it's needless to say that the issue of underrepresentation of female-funded startups and female-funded investors in the local landscape, and in particular in smaller ecosystems, has been highlighted as one of the major issues, along with the valuation gaps between these companies, as it is considered that in emerging ecosystems they need less resources to develop and put their solutions on the market. So gaps ranging from 5 to 10x have been reported between a startup with a similar level of development in an emerging ecosystem and their counterparts in Western Europe, but at the same time, another 5 to 10x gap with respect to US counterparts that may be even less developed. In these ecosystems also, the startups themselves are depending a lot on public funding, but this comes with a lot of challenges, basically the bureaucracy, the competitiveness level, and then the efforts and time and costs that are needed to develop such competitive proposals and apply for the public funding. With very long time frames in which the reality might change. So they apply for a grant that goes for 3 years and have to provide very precise description of the use of resources, which binds them more or less and does not correspond later to the reality that they are facing. On the business side, in the same manner, there is a limited degree of collaboration, in particular with large companies and other procurers, which prevents them to find opportunities to test their solutions and ultimately generate market traction for companies that have the ability to support them in developing their technologies. It has been put as large companies are selfish, and we need to learn from this. They are not willing to lose their time, and startups need to basically understand that to catch their attention, they need to understand on the one side their problems and challenges, and then explain very accurately how their solutions can help them overcome their challenges and become more competitive. At the same time, these the startups and the support organizations representing them have mentioned that they have a limited access on the one side to data and information in the case of software and emerging technologies, artificial intelligence companies. And on the other, for the others developing hardware solutions, as well as the ones developing software solutions, limited access to experimentation opportunities to test their solution in the real world. So basically, they have to struggle to find partners for demonstration, pilot testing, which prevents them to develop and put on the market swiftly the solutions that they are developing. And ultimately, the same is reflected in terms of procurement, the degree of collaborations, and maybe some of the speakers, in particular Livia, but also the other partners might have more insights on that. Limited access to procurement opportunities from both public organizations, European and national, that are committed to supporting their local ecosystems, but also for private organizations. This takes a lot of effort, time, and resources that the companies at their beginning usually lack. In terms of access to other resources, even though it is reported that access to research facilities, research equipment, and top scientific expertise is available almost in all European ecosystems, and that in particular some of the ecosystems in Eastern European countries and the Baltics as well have, let's say, a strong scientific heritage. the degree of collaboration with the academic institutions and the valorization of their know-how and the research result is still limited and underexploited. There are various challenges that are associated to that in terms of, let's say, culture, the way of thinking, the time frame of research versus startup lifespan, and basically support is needed to help them collaborate better. Among the recommendations and ideas that emerged and that can be exploited in what we are currently doing is basically the need to have better visibility of the support mechanisms that are developed by the different organizations, by the European Commission itself. It's been reported there are a lot of initiatives, but the startups are somehow lost. They lack actionable information and would need a sort of a one-stop shop. There are several one-stop shops you might be familiar with. European Enterprise Network being one of them. The EIC is another one-stop shop. But basically, the startups are generally lost and have challenges in finding actionable information and then identifying adequate partners to support them, and also resources, financial resources in particular, to get tailored support from experts on the technological development side, on the business development, and on the access to funding side. So one of the recommendations was, and this is why one of the reasons, Jan, that I wanted to discuss with you about the coalition of the willing is that there is a need of having, let's say, regular meetings with stakeholders focused on same interest areas that could efficiently support let's say, the startups to find these resources and access them more easily. In the scope of AccelerAction, we have developed ourselves a pool of resources that will be subsequently presented by my colleagues, but I would like to give you the floor, the speakers, but also the participants. Alberto has also a very extensive expertise in the area, and there are other participants who have the same level of expertise about these issues that have been mentioned by the previous speakers and participants, and the way in which basically better coordinated, synchronized action and collaboration between the different organizations and initiatives could support overcoming these gaps.
Maybe I can kick off, Paul?
Please, Jan, of course.
Yeah. Yes. So indeed, I think the issues you mentioned are very recognizable. So that's why we try to have this, to take advantage of this fact that e.g. EC services and the Commission look at us as a kind of POC for the startup world, which gives us then credibility from the startup world as well. And so it would be great to align. A lot of people around the table here I already know, and I'm happy to see back. So maybe we could, as a low-hanging fruit, have a joint meeting as a first step and see what comes out of it. I don't know if this is in line with what you thought, Paul, that we could do as a first step.
Jan, maybe you can.
I'm in favor of doing baby steps before the big, huge plans that then may or may not materialize. Yeah.
Of course, this has to be, let's say, actionable. And I think that the members of the coalition of the willing that are themselves grouped in several, let's say, working groups already do this kind of actions. And the question was to what extent and in which way the ones who are willing to participate, can contribute to those working groups.
Yeah, but so there, so we group our activities around the action items of the European Innovation Agenda. But so my proposal would be that people that are interested in aligning, that I will put my email in the chat, and that we then invite you to our next meeting, and we see at that moment where the links are. Would that be okay?
Yes, of course, of course. Thank you so much, Jan. The topics that are being discussed, are related to the business areas. On the one side, business development and opportunities for the startups, access to finance, which is another topic. Livia, maybe from your experience with the business and innovation centers, first of all, what is the feedback with respect to these challenges, and how the support and the activities that you organize at EBN contribute to overcoming these and making resources more available for small companies?
Well, as Jan was mentioning, the challenges are the one that you mentioned. We are totally aligned with the findings that you have. What I can say about business support organization, about BICS, is that with numbers, our members last year supported around 36,000 companies. And data show that 82% of these companies survive after 3 years, the one supported by BICS, while the European average is 58%. So I would say that for companies, no matter which is the size, taking benefit of the support of organizations that can deliver quality services for them in different areas, can it be access to finance, partnership establishment, living labs, for example, because you were mentioning research, so there are many members that are offering this kind of services, is really key to be more competitive and to stay on the market. Then, of course, there is a kind of huge offer on the market, because you were mentioning the EIC, the Coalition, Horizon Europe, and many other national, regional, European programs that can support, but often companies do not have any clue of the opportunities they could access. So I mean, our role, and we are trying to improve these on a daily basis, is to really, through members, inform companies and make sure that they access services that already exist, but they do not take benefit from.
Among those services, do you have any statistics about the types of services that they need in priority, and then the impacts that are generated by the BICS that support them?
We do. We deliver every year an impact report based on the questionnaire that certified BICS fill in on a yearly basis, because every year we monitor the performances of business innovation centers to make sure that they meet the quality criteria that we certify. So yes, we have data. Maybe I can share the impact report later on with you all.
Yes, I'm asking that because one of the issues is that a lot of programs maybe are not result oriented. They support startups to, let's say, build the best pitch in the world, but then they are still left to themselves to find clients, to find investors, and it's really challenging for them to, in particular for deep tech companies and ones that are established by researchers to do that by themselves. So this is why I've asked about the impact-oriented support.
This is like keyword for us. Impact is the keyword together with sustainable development. I mean, our aim is really to create an impact in the regional ecosystem members are acting in. So yes, definitely yes. But yeah, I will share with you the impact report for a better and clearer idea of data and numbers that members are producing.
Thank you, Livia. Dominik, maybe in terms of the startups that the angels you work with are supporting, can you give us some insights about the let's say the way in which they develop the conversion rate from one stage to the other and the challenges faced in the process?
Sure. So maybe a little highlight about the Polish market, because in general we are operating on the Polish market. So most of the Polish investments are public-private money, so we really rely on the public funding. Right now, there is a situation when the one program is ending, and The other one is a little bit delayed, so we will have probably a little problem with the money in terms of VC money in Polish market. Another problem in the VC market is that we have just a little of the funds that are investing in the later stage. So we have a lot of funds that are investing in a seed, maybe Polish round A stage, but in general, if the startup wants to raise the money on the later stages, they need to go outside of Poland or maybe outside of Europe. So this is the big challenge for the startups. Commenting the things that you mentioned earlier from the investors' perspective, we also make the study about the women investors in terms of angel investors, and from our study shows that around between 10 and 20% of the investors are the women investors. So comparing in general to the European standards, it's quite good, but still I would say it's a challenge for us. In our club, I would say it's around 15% of the people are the women investors. Another topic that wasn't mentioned, and we are really into it, is the cross-border investment, because in general the angel investment and angel investors are focused on their market, and it's really hard to convince them to invest outside of Poland or together in the syndicates with other clubs in Europe. We are running right now the project that I mentioned, the 4 Angels, that the main goal is to create a syndicate to cross-border investment. However, it's a still challenge to convince those people to invest outside of the original market. So we are always into those 2 challenges and trying to come up with some solutions for that.
Thank you so much, Dominik, for that. By discussing with other stakeholders, in particular in the Baltics, it was mentioned that, for example, at early stage, they do not have challenges because there is sufficient capital. But when startups are going to Series A, they need to pick up the phone and call across Europe hundreds of peers that they know and have worked with in the past and see if they are not interested in investing in the companies in their portfolios.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, most of the startups, we have great funding, I would say, from the early stage, especially with the private-public money. But if the startup is growing and have some revenue, there is a problem because we have just a few of the funds that are investing in the later stages in Poland. They have to go abroad, and with the situation right now in general with the money and not sufficient enough of money in Europe, there is a big chance they to fall and waste the money that they raised earlier.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is basically that there are few or even not at all structured cross-border co-investment initiatives, let's say. And this is one of the challenges both on the investor and on the startup side.
Yeah, definitely. I would say most of the startups are doing this by their own. Maybe some other advisors from Europe are helping them, but in general, the startup has to do this work by their own. I don't see any public or private body that is helping them, to get the funding on the later stages. They have to do it by their own, and it's not easy, especially right now.
Thank you, Dominik. Maybe Kinga, you can share some of the experience and insights from the perspective of an investor and the particular perspective of a female investor. With respect to these challenges, the way in which the co-investments are made, the way in which you support female founders to get funding easier.
Sure. I think ultimately, the topic that we are really discussing is the asset allocation. So there are areas inside of Europe and sectors and verticals and groups that just don't get enough of that asset allocation. Actually, they get margins. So emerging economies or so-called widening Europe, that is one area. Women is another area, but deep tech is also an area of that. So what I think what we're saying really is that Europe is very fragmented. In order to raise a fund to be able to continue investing, you are faced with multiple obstacles coming from your LPs. So EIF wants you to invest in Europe only, not UK. A national fund of funds wants you to invest in that country, not in another one. And you just keep being piled and piled and piled with obstacles, frameworks, regulations, this and that. Instead of understanding that it is the benefit of Europe, still, if a company moves from one location to the other, it will still bring back to its original economy the benefits. It will still want to give back. The founders do that very often. But as Europe, we are very sort of, made into this little compartments instead of just being open. So, a fund of funds from a Nordic country will not invest in a fund in Italy. But why? Why? That there is no reason for it. Technology is global. Maybe that company in Italy will next be selling on that market. Maybe it will work with PhDs in a university over there. Maybe it will do something, but it's not likely to do it if we're going to be just creating rules, regulations, and frameworks. And that is the problem today. It's that money keeps being put into boxes, labels, instead of just letting the market decide what the best companies are. And yes, we're in a very difficult spot because the market globally is in a downturn and all companies are facing these issues. But, as much as we can help founders who have more obstacles get out of the problems that they have at the early stage, yes, we can do all of that. But ultimately, they are competing on the global market. So they need to be just as good or even better as somebody who grew up out of Stanford and is sitting in Silicon Valley, because that is the market they're going to be competing. So yes, we can do a lot, but it is on the founder who's competing on the global stage to be able to execute on it. And I think that we need to help along the way destroy the obstacles, create the opportunities. But I think that, Europe is very fragmented, very overregulated in these aspects, very compartmentalized. And so sort of, trying to think about little things to do, still we can't overcome the fact that fund of funds, that grant programs, that any kind of European financing seems to always be having labels rather than focusing on the strength of the founders, the companies, and what they're trying to do.
Thank you, Kinga. Where do you think these problems are coming from? In a lot of reports, they are highlighting that they are implicitly, let's say, related to the degree of development of some of these ecosystems. They have not properly invested in R&D, and therefore a vicious circle is created. And at the same time, the latest report of the EIC shows that the startups have the perception that money always goes to the same. So which is the root cause of this? Is at the public authorities level, at their level, because they need to become more resource oriented? How can we overcome these obstacles that are created?
I guess, I probably am not in a great position to answer that. You need to have a micro view and a macro view together to be able to be more precise. I think, like looking at certain smaller countries, I think, what if you compare those, if you take Poland, since we were discussing it, and you compare that to, say, California. California is a much larger economy. How can we get there? How can we make certain changes? How can we bring about a creative class, like Richard Florida said, and move into an ecosystem that is truly open, truly collaborative, and that is not just focused on the one thing, because we don't want just to focus on funding a tech startup. We want to create an ecosystem of players that are collaborating together. We need people in culture. We need people in corporates. We need people in government. We need people in different decision making that understand the same theme and are driven towards the same goal. So I think in many countries across Europe, we are still far away from that. In certain countries in Europe, we have very much a centrally, how do you say this, driven decision-making model. And as long as the person writing those rules or setting those directions is very much aligned with, you know, the discussion that we're having, that country seems to be moving forward very fast on certain metrics. We have countries like that in Europe that have done very, very well because of a person at the top having a certain vision and aligning everyone towards that vision. In certain other countries, we're just not there. And I think, you know, what we need more is we need more freedom to act. We need less obstacles. We need more tax incentives for angels to invest, like the UK has done. We need to lift barriers rather than impose them and let the market drive certain things, be open, be transparent, be cross-border, and be collaborative. And I just cannot, you know, underline that more, be it on deep tech, be it on female founders, be it on angel investing or VCs. We need to allow the technology, allow the founders of the VC funds to be able to execute their strategies and support them in that and not create obstacles for them.
Thank you so much, Kinga. Andreas, speaking about the vision of the fund of creator of funds, and in particular some of the outermost regions you have worked in the Western Balkans and other emerging areas. What are the challenges of those particular areas, and what is generally the vision of the creators of these funds?
So I think in the end, the majority of the VCs, you ask what's the vision, right? In the end, when you build a venture firm, you have to build it around where your main competence is and where you're different from everyone else. If the ecosystem has already bred people that are then very immersed in as an example, as Kinga is in the female cause, then you have a manager that's backable within that. But just as a fund that comes to me and says they want to do climate tech investing without, and then when you dig into it, they have little background in climate, which also means that they have a poor network in climate, and that means that they don't have access to the best founders in that space. It becomes a bad story, right? Or it becomes very difficult to fund. And as such, I think in many ways, bagging VCs in any space, or the origination of VCs within any space comes quite late, in the sense that you don't put 20 million euros in the hands of someone to back female entrepreneurs if there's not a strong female entrepreneurial community, as an example. Just as you wouldn't do it in climate, or you wouldn't do it in something else. So I think that when thinking about getting more VCs that are specialized and focused around a vision that is to back women entrepreneurs, as an example, you want to make sure that you have already built, or that you're very actively building, if I may put it like that, the hunting ground of that VC. Because otherwise that VC will have difficulty attracting private market capital, because any good LP will do their due diligence, and then they'll say, I get 100% why you want to do this, and I think it makes perfect sense, and we have great examples across Europe that do it. But when I look at your deal, I don't see there being sufficient entrepreneurial capacity for us to want to back that. And I think that for that reason, I don't think that the solution is in many cases more VCs that are fully dedicated to backing women and diversity founders. I think it's more about getting the existing VCs realize the opportunity and realize their own biases. Because I've definitely been in conversations, probably particularly in Eastern Europe, where I thought that there was a very surprising, blatant neglect of the state on the ground, and the biases that they exhibit in that very same conversation. Yeah, so that would be my take on it, and that is where I would focus my energy. And then, of course, any initiative that helps, just as we do with the European VC, we say, well, to get a stronger European venture ecosystem, we need to champion the champions that we actually have. And the best thing that we had in Europe to do that before us was a podcast by a Brit that was interviewing US people. And I think that that's very much the part of the solution, that we get to highlight these champions more, just as Kinga does in her newsletter. I received it the other day, and I was like, this is very well researched, and you don't, when you see the strength of the women ecosystem presented as Kinga and her organization did in the latest newsletter, you realize very clearly that there's a lot of untapped opportunity. As an example, I'm literally writing with Carrie from IQ Capital to have her on a roundtable, and I hadn't realized that she'd been nominated, or she won an award for being European Investor of the Year, right? And that's like, we need to emphasize these stories more and bring these stories out more, every one of us.
Yeah, just to add to that, Andreas, I'm 100% with you. This isn't about, again, saying this fund has to focus only on this. It's about the thesis, and it's about the opportunity. If somebody believes that life science is a great thesis, it doesn't really matter if you are investing in a female-founded startup or a male-funded one, as long as you understand the ultimate opportunity that startup delivers, the market that it's going to cover, that market, that addressable market, how it's going to sell, and so on. I think we just need to overcome the bias on that level to make sure that everyone, it gets the same opportunity to be invested in, but not about segmenting funds, again, and saying, you do only this, or I will not invest in you, which I always find is a very big problem. And there are successful European funds like, say, Point 9. It's done amazing work, but it's focusing on certain verticals, and it's done very well in that. And their investors are not asking the question whether they are making a German investment or a US one. They are just investing in a thesis that is driven by experts. That is what we need. We need a thesis that certain managers believe in and are executing. And the same goes for founders. We need those founders to believe in their product, in their solution, and just execute on it, given fair and equal access to capital. So, I'm just for being open and creating a level playing field. And I think that is absolutely key. And then, a bit like Andreas said, we need to highlight the positive examples all the time so that people have it on top of their agendas. That's what we're trying to do.
Thank you so much, Kinga. Even though we are a little bit behind the schedule, we have a question from Iray. If you share your questions in the chat, please also raise the hand to be able to ask them directly. I think it's important to address it, even if it's very quickly. His experience is that the application to the EIC, and I'm asking it because we have maybe a first-hand experience with some of you having been involved in the EIC, let's say, committees and board, rejected an application focused on developing an artificial intelligence, if I understood correctly, with completely false claims. What is your take on that as experts working with the EIC? So I think that yeah, my personal idea with this is it's not sufficient. Of course, how can you bet against ChatGPT that you mentioned over here that attracted huge amounts of investments? This issue was raised a lot of times. I am not, let's say, I do not completely understand the decision criteria of the EIC, but which are paradoxical in some cases. But in any case, this has been reported repeatedly that in some specific areas you cannot bet against massive investments, such as the in this case OpenAI has attracted. So the startups themselves said, what can I do with 2.5 million euros and a ticket of 10 million euros? I don't know what is your perspective as investors and as business support organizations on this, but this seems to be a plausible reason.
I mean, you know, if I just want to add something to what you just said, Paul.
Of course.
I think that historically speaking, Europe has built a huge capacity and a market for the digital space. And, you know, if you go back 20, 30 years, there were fewer funds and not many opportunities. And, you know, we seem to have accelerated forward on that. Europe is now on par pretty much with everywhere else in the world in terms of startup investment, engagement. There are American funds that are coming over to Europe to invest. So all of that is happening. And, you know, then it's just a question of levels, percentages, time to market, volatility, and so on. But by and large, Europe has caught up in that sense. What we are now faced with is a deep tech challenge, which is one that we need to prioritize simply because we are facing with challenges that cannot be solved by another software startup. In that sense, I mean a software as a service being a marketplace or a simple B2B SaaS. We're actually faced with very, very big challenges, and we're trying to level out as well the playing field, going in this direction of being aligned with sustainable development goals, going to tackle big things, which we cannot do in another way other than deep tech. But deep tech requires a different state of mind and a different investor base. We haven't, as Europe, come yet to that point where we have enough volume in deep tech funds to be able to truly fund the deep tech space. We do not have the right framework for a deep tech fund to be able to fund a deep tech startup. And no, a 10-year +2 fund in many cases will not work. And yet institutional investors are refusing to move past that point. So there are certain things that need to happen. Now, what the EIC does, and, you know, just for full disclosure, I have been an EIC board member, I think the longest serving one, for 7 years, and I sat on the investment committee of EIC Fund. What EIC does is a ginormous step forward, trying to catalyze the market into deep tech space investing. It has never been done before in Europe. And, you know, it would be great if national fund of funds followed this route, established their own investment vehicles to co-invest with EIC. Some have done that. BPI France is doing an amazing job, and France is really at the forefront of this, supporting their deep tech startups and doing this support together with EIC. We just need more of this. We need this in every single European country, that we understand that deep tech is the way forward to solve issues, that we understand that when we build on science and research, we are creating something for the long term. We're creating long-term value, economic, social, and in every other way. And let's focus, especially the public capital, on that, because the private capital can do all those 15-minute food delivery startups if it wants. That's okay, and it will make money on it. But for true societal and economic value of our region, we need the money to be going into the deep techs. And, you know, I always say EIC is too small of a program. We need, you know, a magnitude of scale bigger EIC. There was an initiative of 30 unicorn founders that asked for 100 billion EIC fund. And I think this is the scale that really we need to be able to move forward. And we need that to be in this patient capital model, which EIC is delivering, and you know, asking other co-investors to also be as aligned on that as possible.
Thank you so much, Kinga. Indeed, one of the issues is how to choose among the, let's say, the applications with the limited resources that the EIC has, even though these resources are quite important. As Irene, I hope this answered your question. Of course, we are here to discuss after the roundtable more in details if you need support. Since we are a little bit behind the schedule, I will briefly, let's say, share the small contributions we are trying to make at the consortium level and give the floor to my colleagues. The assumption that we've made is that by connecting the ecosystems, we can overcome some of these local limitations and allow the best startups in class, in a vision that Kinga expressed a little bit earlier. Let the market more or less to decide to go in areas where the most suitable resources for their development stage, for their profile are available. And that being said, I would like to give the floor first to Claudia, that will present our virtual ecosystem. Please, Claudia.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Paul. So nice to meet you to everyone. I am Claudia Vittorio, and I am a project manager and coordinator for Joe Consulting, who is the coordinator of the project AccelerAction. Today, I'm here with my colleague Andrea Puglisi, and we would like to present to you the virtual ecosystem platform we are working on for the project. So to engage you and to let you experience the platform, we prepared a very short teaser, a sort of promo video to give you an idea of what we are developing. So Andrea, could you please share the screen? And after there will be a short presentation of the platform. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Andrea. So I will share my screen now. If I'm able to do it, yes. Okay. And I will share with you my presentation. It will be very short, just to present you what we are creating. So just to give a very short overview of our company, Joe Consulting is a consulting company with expertise in European projects and structural funds, and it's active in Italy and Europe since 1998. Thanks to its long experience as a consultant for European projects, Joe Consulting helps companies and institutions to obtain all funding opportunities from the European Commission or also national ministries and regions. And in this year, Joe Consulting has been able to attract grants from different programs like Horizon Europe, Horizon 2020, Erasmus+, etc. So with this very short presentation, I would like to share with you what is our virtual ecosystem. So what we are trying to create. We developed a virtual space, giving the possibility to freely host different actors and stakeholders in the sector of deep tech, and thanks to a map who is divided per regions and profiles. Indeed, AccelerAction virtual ecosystem is an online space where you can register freely, hosting different players in the innovation ecosystem sector. The general goal of the platform is to make business entities such as accelerators, startups, innovation agencies, business networks, and experts like mentors, evaluators, investors, educational institutions, and the regional authorities able to share ideas and best practices. The platform will allow actors and stakeholders to access business support solutions and find potential investors with the aim to discover networking opportunities around Europe and the whole world. So the platform is basically divided in 4 sections that we will investigate in a while. Just to summarize, we have the training station, the resource library, the community, and the virtual ecosystem map. And this is the dynamic part of the platform. And thanks to this, you will have the possibility to create a stronger network and to match with stakeholders you are interested in. So right now we are in the process to finalize the platform. Indeed, we will finalize it at the end of December and we will officially launch it in January. So I'm presenting it because it's quite ready. We are now working on the match that I will explain later. And so it is already possible to make the registration through the link that you find here. And so virtualecosystem.acceleraction.eu, and start to discover some section of the platform. So let's discover together what are the actors involved, the functionalities, and the potentiality also of the platform. So as said before, the platform will host different actors with different backgrounds on the technology sectors. And here we have some examples just to give you an idea of the actors and the opportunities that the platform will host. Indeed, business entities, for example, will have the opportunities to share good practices, also discover project outcomes, and learn new competencies thanks to the presence of the Pan-EU Network Acceleration Program that we call the EUNAP, which is a new program that AccelerAction partners internally developed and which will be introduced later by Tiago Marques from BTI. Moreover, business entities will access business support solutions like accelerator programs, training and mentoring, and also will have the possibility to find suitable potential investors. It is also a great opportunity for investors that can have the possibility to discover startups and in general entrepreneurs that need financial support, find the most suitable entities within the ecosystem. We are also working on the development of a set of recommendations to support regional policymaker ecosystem and to collect feedback and insights from other accelerators that are inside the virtual ecosystem. And we will investigate also this section later. And in general, for every expert is a big opportunity to discover networking opportunities thanks to which the ecosystem players are involved. So as already said, it is divided in 4 sections. It is very easy to register. You have just to click on the registration box, and after you will have the possibility to create your account that is divided in 3 different sections. So the first part that asks you your private, your personal information, so like first name, last name, the email, and the password to create the account. Later on, you need to specify your profile. We need all this information for the automatic match that we will create, but I will explain it later. And let's match. So we will ask you, who are you looking for? What are the actors that you're looking for? What are the sectors that you are interested in? You have just to click register and you will receive an automatic email just to confirm your registration. Once you will be registered, this is, for example, my registration, my profile, you will have your information that will be collected in a unique sheet, and you will have the possibility to edit your profile. Once you will edit your profile, the platform will ask you more information, so to finalize the profiling. And this is important for us because we are creating an automatic algorithm that will allow us to create automatic match. So to find the perfect match for your person, so for what you are looking for your profile. One of the first section is the training section that is enriched by the HIHUN app. This part will contain content that will target investors, accelerators, program managers, entrepreneurs, and the regional local policymaker. And this is based on the main findings emerged from the discovery process carried out in the previous tasks, we can say. So you will learn basically from topics developed by accelerator and experts, part of AccelerAction consortium, and we'll focus on three main topics that are the expansion and access to market, capital compass, and empowering sustainable and inclusive innovation. Another session is the resource library, that is a free tool. This means that you don't need to register or log in to have access to these. It contains more or less 40 articles on different topics, target to different actors. Here, so for example, you can find some example like driving diversity and inclusion in deep tech for accelerator program manager. The general idea is to create a digital open library that will collect material with different focus and that can be used as tools or references for learning, research, or information sharing that are composed of case studies, videos, articles, and others. So as complementary to these, there will be also a discussion forum that we call the community. And this is a virtual space where actors and stakeholders, part of the platform, can talk and discuss about different topics, where you can exchange opinion about deep technologies, etc. For this, we are creating a hashtag system, so every topic will be characterized and easy to be defined through words or hashtags. And the last slide is about the virtual ecosystem map, which is the dynamic part of the platform and the part who allows you to connect and know more about stakeholders and actors part of the system, of the ecosystem. Indeed, the platform is one of the added values of our project AccelerAction, and will collect some of main findings and all the results of the project. Why we need this platform? So we realized that it was important to create an ecosystem, a platform, giving the possibility to create connections between target users, experts, and regional policymakers. Moreover, thanks to the platform, to the virtual map, we are internally developing a matching algorithm that will provide the cross-regional matchmaking. This means that filling the profile session, inside the personal profile session, you will be asked to fill in information about your expertise, what are the topics you want to investigate more, your services, etc. All this information will be used to create an automatic match between your profile and other profiles inside the platform. And In my opinion, this is a big opportunity to find with zero effort the perfect stakeholder for you, for your personal interests or for work-related needs. On the left side, you will have the possibility to see your perfect match with the percentages of compatibility with other actors. And clicking here, you will have an overview of the actor and decide to skip the contact or to contact him, her through email or LinkedIn profile or other tools. So this is in a very short 10 minutes what is the platform. Feel free to ask me everything related to the platform or to contact us. I will leave on the chat my LinkedIn and email and the one of my colleague Andrea. And thank you for the participation and I wish you a lovely event.
Thank you so much, Claudia, for the presentation. I don't know if there are any questions with respect to this. If not, it's Tiago's turn to present the resource platform. Tiago, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Paul. Hello, everyone. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here with you and to listen to all of these testimonials from the first part of the conversation. Thank you for all the sharing. I will now, so my name is Tiago, I'm an innovation consultant at VETI. Can you hear me properly? Perfect. So I'm an innovation
there is
consultant.
some noise. I don't know if you have the possibility to change the
Let me check.
the sound source, but we can still hear you.
Paul, is it better now?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Much better. Thank you.
I guess I'll take this off. All right. So here we go now with the good sound. So, Tiago, innovation consultant at VETI. We are collaborative innovation consultancy firm in Portugal, although we work worldwide. And I will present you a little bit of what we have been developing here at AccelerAction together with all the partners from the consortium. And you will see that, and I'm glad to know and to hear some of the things that you shared, because we believe that we are tackling some of them with the things that we have been creating in this AccelerAction. So, all right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you, Claudia. So here we go. So basically, as AccelerAction, we are working through multiple pillars. So we have, and also what we want to make sure is to connect a fragmented Europe. As some of you mentioned, that it's a reality, and one of the main goals of AccelerAction is to make sure that we can have a more we can reduce the gaps between different innovation ecosystems across Europe. And in order to do that, those are the three main pillars that we have. So initiate, the collaboration, and the growing. And I will explain to you a little bit of each one of the pillars that we are working. So the first one, Claudia already did a great work explaining it. So it's a resource library that we have been developing for multiple deep tech stakeholders, so for investors, accelerators, program managers, entrepreneurs, regional and local policymakers, and so on. And this information all comes from from a lot of players that we have been doing, that we did in the past interviews. We did a gap assessment with them, also from those roundtables that we had since April, and a big portion of it comes from our consortium partners and also from other experts that were invited to design the articles. This part Claudia already presented. So now jumping into the second part, the peer-to-peer event for deep tech players to exchange best practices. So as you mentioned, and I think it was Jan that mentioned that sometimes when a challenge from someone or an opportunity or best practice from someone in Bulgaria can also be used for someone in Austria, for instance. And here, the idea with this peer-to-peer mentoring gathering that will happen in February 2024, between February and March 2024, it's really to bring together these fragmented ecosystems and the players from this fragmented ecosystem, and to try to reduce that gap. So what we want to build here is we will build a series of events to accelerators, incubators, startups, investors, and make sure that they have the opportunity to learn, to connect, and to engage with peers all over Europe. And the ultimate goal is always to lead to insightful exchanges and potential growth opportunities to other markets. So yeah, what will happen is we will start with a masterclass where we will invite an expert, and this will plant the seed. So then after we can have small groups for the sharing and discussion of the challenges and the best practices, what usually it's called the mentoring circles. And the idea is really to have that sharing where, well, sharing is caring, they say. So the idea here is really to make sure that we can learn with each other and we can reduce that gap and that fragmented and that fragmentation from the innovation ecosystem. And then we come back to the bigger group and we share a bit what were the main conclusions, and we have a networking moment. So we will have a series of 3 to 4 events between February and March 2024, and I will let you know at the end how can you know about those events if you are interested in participating. Last pillar, it's growing, which is an essential stage, especially for startups that want to go to the next level. And here, the exchange program, the third pillar of growing, it's exclusively designed for deep tech startups that want to scale up their business. So here, the idea is to have a 3-month initiative that will equip the deep tech startups with the right knowledge, network, and tools to scale up their business. So this is the way that the program is designed. It's divided in 3 main models: the extension and access to market, the capital compass, empowering, and the third one, empowering sustainable and inclusive innovation. And the idea here was really first to understand what were and are the main challenges from deep tech startups at this stage when they are trying to scale up, and then provide them the tools, the knowledge, and the network to overcome these challenges and to drive. So each track will have a series of weekly content that was designed, that has been designed with the support from the consortium partners and also from players from the ecosystem. And then we will have a monthly meetup where the 10 selected startups will have the chance to group and to discuss around a certain topic. And at the end of each track, we will have an abroad experience where each startup will have the chance to visit 3 different ecosystems and to immerse in those ecosystems to make sure that they can have they can build the network, and also they can decide better if they want to move to a new geography, what might be the best option for them. And the idea here is really to connect moderate innovative ecosystems with strong innovative ecosystems. So we'll have 5 startups from each one of those innovation ecosystems. Well, this is a little bit more of what will be inside each one of the tracks. If you have curiosity, later we can also share a bit more about that. Here are the different activities that we will have, as mentioned before. So we'll have the kickoff, the weekly content and the challenges, the monthly meetup, where we'll bring together all the different startups, and also will be a preparation for the in-person experience. We'll have the matchmaking going through the program, the exchange experience, that this is the jewel, let's say, of each track, where the startups will have the chance to have learning sessions, pitch sessions, and also networking moments to engage with the local ecosystem. And of course, the closing, where we'll reflect on the experiences that all the startups had, and also look a little bit further, how can we improve to the future. Well, and that's it from our side. So this is a bit of the work that we have been doing, and that will start in the following month from January onwards. So if you want to keep in touch and to know a little bit more when you can have access to those peer-to-peer events, or to the resource library, or even to the abroad exchange program, if you are a DeepTech startup, just go to our website, AccelerAction.eu, and you can subscribe our newsletter, and we will update you when we have news on that, so you can be the first one to apply. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tiago, for the detailed presentation. Claudia, I think you have a second presentation.
No, I'm not. I think
you don't. You've presented everything in the. Okay.
Yes, I think it will be Livia, the third one.
Now it's Livia's turn. Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's Giovanni.
Where's Giovanni?
It is Giovanni. I leave the floor.
Yes, please, Giovanni, you have the floor.
Okay. Yes, thank you. I will try to present the way in which ISME, the international network for SMEs, could, together with the project partners, could leverage the community built so far and the platform built in order to enhance the effect and impact of the project. As already told you and presented, I'm Giovanni Dazzerini. I'm the Secretary General of the International Network for SMEs. And the ISME network is a not-for-profit association gathering together something like 64 members from 30 countries at international level. And our member base is shaped by public and private organizations dealing with the implementation or design of policies and programs favoring SMEs and entrepreneurship. So chambers of commerce, for example, national agencies supporting SMEs, SMEs association, development bank, and so on and so forth. So this organization and the network I'm managing have something in common, that all the members believe that innovation is a key driver for economic and social growth. So taking into account our mission and our network, we will be in charge to help the project, the acceleration project, to generate further alliances and therefore enhancing the network connectivity. My presentation is very short. It's just one page. Can you confirm me that you can see my presentation?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. So in order to do that, with the main goal to broaden the scope of the EU NAP program and to enhance the network connectivity, we will be involved in 4 main activities. So the participation to awareness-raising events, the participation to conferences related obviously to the topic, the organization of workshops starting in 2024 and ending in 1 year after in 2025, and with the final deliverable of policy recommendation. Policy recommendation is another field is very involved in our part of our job is to provide example and best practices to policymakers also at the OECD level in order to help them to develop policy that are going to address the real needs coming from the ground. So this is what we do at the OECD level and what we are involved in this project as well. Speaking about workshop, that will be the fourth workshop we are in charge of, that will be the most significant, impactful probably activity in order to broaden the scope of EUNAP program. We are going to target and to try to involve this audience, research center and universities. We already mentioned in several deep talk webinars the importance of entrepreneurship education and in building a culture for startups and scale-ups, but also because of the competencies and the skills universities and research centers are able to provide to the job market. We are going to target regional and local entities, obviously, to better understand the way in which some regulations should be changed or new regulations should be adopted to foster the local and regional ecosystem. From our experience, local ecosystem, each local ecosystem has its own characteristic and that should be taken into consideration also in order to identify complementary assets to provide accelerators, as we are already doing, expert in the field as well as large firm. I also would like to highlight the crucial role of large enterprises in an entrepreneurial ecosystem, because from our experience, they are on the one hand the first clients, the first customers for startup. The presence of large enterprises in an ecosystem also attract talent and competencies in the region, in the local region. Therefore, through open innovation programs, they can also work as a facilitator for an ecosystem. This is why we decide to involve large firms as well. And once with this workshop, we will be able to involve such audience. The idea is to identify as the project main goal synergies between founding programs. That is, as today Paul Stefanuk mentioned, is a crucial gap and issue for startups that at national level identify some program and opportunities, at European level a different one, and to complete, let's say, the offering of supporting services very in a coherent ways, so important. Best practices from one country to foster and to inspire another country, obviously with the networking activities, as well as the promotion of innovation and entrepreneurship as a key driver for regional, national, and European economic growth. Final point, final goal of this workshop, also thanks to female founders, will be to bring, to identify how to cope with the so-called missing entrepreneurs. So how to promote female and social entrepreneurship, the way in which, and migrants entrepreneurship as well, that is another point that ought to be explored according to the latest figures and number at European level. So migrants entrepreneurship as well. That is another point and another final goal of the workshop we are going to organize. So that's the plan, obviously, that we are going to implement starting from 2024. Any feedback, any comment is more, and suggestion is more than welcome, and you can contact me directly or Livia Adinolfi if you want for comments or suggestions. Thank you very much, Paul, for the time.
Thank you so much, Giovanni, for the presentation. Also to all the colleagues having presented the other resources of the AccelerAction program. In a nutshell, to summarize our, once again, assumptions are the following: the fact that we connect the ecosystems through the virtual mapping will facilitate collaboration, basically allow the members of the ecosystems, the startups in particular, but also the organization supporting them to find partners and to find resources adapted to their growth stage and navigate in a very easy way with our support through the European innovation ecosystems and consequently accelerate their growth. In the scope of the program, we will have, let's say, a budget to pilot test this connected acceleration program through the participation of 10 startups that will have the possibility to choose the ecosystems they will soft land to and get local support from the partners. So 5 from advanced ecosystems and 5 from moderate and emerging ecosystems. That being said, I would like to give you the floor for questions and also for feedback. Livia, starting with you and your involvement in AccelerAction project. What do you think about this approach? Is it useful to enhance the connectedness and overcome the current limitations? And how can we collaborate with you? How can the ecosystem also get support from you and from AccelerAction?
Well, for sure, we have to collaborate. I would say that we must collaborate because the feeling while I was listening to all the colleagues is really that there are many initiatives that are going in the same direction, but without any connection. For example, the virtual platform that you're running, you were mentioning accelerators, incubators, business support organizations, and really we should be able to match the 2 projects to enlarge the audience and the pool of experts and organizations. Then I was writing in the chat, I will continue afterwards. Giovanni was mentioning migrants, women, and we run a project called Better Incubation. I will send you all the documents, and we produced a toolkit for business support organizations that are supporting these categories. So women, migrants, elderly people, to give them instruments and tools to better guide these categories across the entrepreneurial value chain. So maybe this could be somehow inspiring or give you basically some ideas when developing the workshops. And yeah, I would say that we should remain in touch, the two projects, because I mean, as the European Commission loves to say, sister projects, I think really the sisterhood should be a bit feed. Otherwise, we will be losing critical mass and would be a pity. We will not integrate the ecosystem this way. That's my short feedback.
Thank you so much for that, Livia. Maybe to mention again, I don't know if it was clear, the idea with the, let's say, the mapping of the incubators and accelerators was not to have a static list, but basically provide a navigation tool for the startups across their growth stages, basically to go from one European ecosystem to the other and very efficiently, very fast find the adequate resources needed for their growth.
Yeah, that's why I think we need to populate both projects.
Absolutely.
From one side to another. Yeah.
And from the same perspective, I don't know if Dominik is still connected. Yeah, the idea would be to also include in the list the investors basically, and see in synergy with other European projects that are focusing on the investment side. Andreas, you are involved in co-investing, so the idea is to generate syndication opportunities and collectively to give these vital resources. Repeatedly, we get the same insights. So there are two main needs: the access to business opportunities and the access to funding and other resources. I don't know if in the collective discussions we've had, the companies and ecosystem members you work with have highlighted any specific needs that were not addressed in the current discussion, but your feedback is more than welcome on that topic.
Well, I think I'd have to think about it a bit more and also both talk to the co-investing group, but also on the investors side. I think, how should I put it? So always you can always give broad overviews of how people, or the state that you think people actually think the market is in, and what they need. But I think most VC firms in Europe are rather small, and they're all very focused on what they already do. So I think that the majority are, for anything to be successful in collaboration with them, we need to have a very pinpointed approach to each firm to make sure that you hit their agenda. And for that reason, I don't want to say too much on behalf of anyone, other than I would of course love to help broker a connection to the firms that we know, if that would be helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Andreas. I don't know if there are any additional questions, remarks from the participants. Dorina, if you are connected, we've overlooked this, but EIT Digital, one of the kicks is also having a key role in the ecosystem. So maybe you can say a few words about what you're doing and the landmark programs that support digital deep tech companies.
Thank you so much, Paul, for the opportunity, and it was a pleasure to be here with you today and hear the discussion and also the project. It's also nice to understand the similarities or complementarities, let's say, for the co-investing project, since before joining EIT Digital, it was one of our collaborative efforts, Paul. Well, for those of you who don't know EIT Digital, we are an impact organization with a focus on supporting and promoting innovation and entrepreneurship in digital solutions or deep tech solutions. Our range of services runs across a three level stream. One supports the local ecosystems. The second supports innovation through different programs for for startups at different readiness levels, so starting from pre-seed going up to Series A or A+. And then the third pillar has to do or relies to upskilling and talents or employees or even corporates. And we do that through our master school. We have a range of master programs which we implement with our partner universities. We have we are leaning towards the doctoral side, but for the moment it is quite inactive. We are looking into joining doctoral networks for supporting and sustaining our doctoral school. And then at the third level, we implement professional programs for enterprise, SMEs, startups, and so on. This is in a nutshell what we do. We hope to find new ways of working together with you in the future. And yeah, also feel free to reach out in case you need anything. Thank you
Thank
very
you so much,
much.
Dorina. If you can leave your contact information, I
course.
think that,
Thank
yeah, although some people already know you, it will be easier for the participants to connect. Tiago, I don't know if you're still connected. This, let's say, roundtable is the last one in the series, but there will be a follow-up. There will be other workshops organized where we will be more action-oriented, so oriented towards using the resources of the project to create impacts for the startups in the community. So, Tiago, if you want to say a few words about the next steps.
Exactly. So for the last couple of months, we have been focusing a lot on identifying the challenges and the opportunities. From now forward, especially in 2024, we will start with the action. And we will, now that we know the challenges, we will start to connect the pieces and to make sure that we can really close that gap from that fragmented Europe. So if you want to stay up to date, just follow the newsletter in the website and we will keep you updated.
Thank you so much. I don't know if there are any questions from the participants. If not, I would like to thank again our kind speakers for accepting to share their insights and spend some time with us. Also, the colleagues who prepared the presentation and all of the participants for being here. If you want to connect with us, you can find us at AccelerAction.eu. So we hope to be in touch and to be able to help you in the upcoming months with the challenges you are facing. Thank you once again, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
Bye.
Thank you to
Bye
everyone.
bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.